Welcome. Welcome to week 3 of our health promotion disease prevention course. We're shifting our focus from definitions of health, and I'll talk about that just in a minute, recapping that discussion, but shifting our focus to the ethical issues in health promotion and also policy issues. Some of you I had the pleasure of working with in the policy class in the summer, so hopefully we'll draw on a little bit of that content. But I wanted to commend first your discussion on health promotion for definitions of health, for this week. Really nice discussion, good interaction with each other, and encouragement and support for each other's responses. It looked like, in general, you're saying that health has to be all of those things. The World Health Organization is a start, but certainly optimal, and the combination of factors, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social, all those things need to be involved in health for the person, but that it's an individual perception. I like the fact that that was quite highlighted, and what is healthy for one person, and we talked about chronic illness and the various things that might connote health for others. Good mention, and I think very relevant, especially in terms of all the current events, is the fact that there are people who don't like government intervention in health, perhaps don't see health as perhaps a right of all, and don't want somebody telling them what to do, what is healthy behavior, that kind of thing. And we certainly have to contend with that as we fashion, hopefully, something in terms of more coverage for folks, better access, as many of you mentioned. I appreciate Emmanuel bringing up the global health concerns. Great point, and certainly something that we're striving to be, and realistically are, a global world, a shrinking world. Global world's not the right term. A shrinking world, a world where, geography and all those kind of things are really becoming kind of irrelevant. And as he talked about, some of the problems in what we call the developing world are certainly very easily can become problems in the U.S. and in other developed countries, because travel and, just the various influences of economy and everything can cause health concerns in other places. So thank you for bringing that up, Emmanuel. And the Ebola and Zika outbreaks are just really good examples of that in just the last couple of years. So those were good things. Looked like in general people chose for the healthy people goals, access, which relates, of course, to the discussion that we had, health-related quality of life, and the fact that, of course, that is an individual and subjective measure, but is something that's just relevant to each individual person. And then finally, exercise, which very much relates, I think, to health in general and quality of life, and increasing exercise among all persons, but then related to school and having exercise periods, that kind of thing. So, those 3 overarching goals seem to be the biggest ones that people related to. But thank you for getting into the Healthy People site and for considering, when we look at definitions of health, despite any individual differences and what our philosophical differences might be, one of the ways we have operationalized health promotion in this country is by the Healthy People Initiative. And so we have, very specific, concrete objectives for various times along the lifespan, various settings for folks, addressing many of the health concerns in our country, and then what we know is evidence-based ways of promoting health. So, Healthy People is very important. We'll revisit that quite often. So, good discussion, and thank you for having that discussion, and really look forward to our continuation. So just an operational thing about the discussion, since I tried last week to do this threaded, not threaded thing, making it a little bit more like a blog, but I also found it a little difficult to then have your response tied to someone else's post, and so the response is kind of down the line, and you don't necessarily realize what it is, the flow. of the conversation. So I went back this week to doing a threaded discussion. I am trying to investigate doing a podcast, but when I tried to set it up, and it talks about external podcasts and, kind of integration of various things, I'm not sure that's what we want either. So I'm going to try to investigate that. Next week is the quiz, so we won't have a discussion. So maybe within 2 weeks I'll be able to figure that out. So this week we're going to talk about ethical and policy issues. I had the pleasure of working with some of you in the policy class, so that material will hopefully come into play a little bit. And I posted two questions as I've talked about before, with the idea that you'll do an initial post. You can put them together, or you can have two separate posts, whichever, and then you would respond to at least two of your classmates' posts for the total of your discussion participation to be over at least 2 days. So at least 3 posts, at least over 2 days. And there are two questions. One is an ethical issue, one is or question, one is a policy question. And hopefully that'll be clear from the questions, the kind of direction for you to take. The chapter doesn't have, both the readings for this week don't have a whole lot about ethics, so I posted a PowerPoint that I've adapted from previous materials that we've used that kind of goes over ethical principles if you need a refresher. It's posted in the week 3 materials, and the principles are listed: veracity, justice, non-maleficence, beneficence, all those, autonomy. And so pick one that you think kind of is concerned with health promotion and how our health promotion efforts with individuals may uphold those. I've also posted for you the Nurses Code of Ethics. Or in some cases, do they kind of run contrary to those principles? Autonomy, for instance, if we're trying to get someone to take on health promotion activities that they may or may not want, that he or she may or may not want to do. So think about that. And then policy, I've given you an example and asked for you to come up with an example. So I'll look forward to a really good discussion there and see those additional materials that are posted. There's a nice article as well about policy and health promotion. So, see all those things, and the Pender chapters, of course. So I'll look forward to seeing you in the discussion, and meanwhile, hope you have a good week. And, as I said, we'll be having a quiz in week 4, and I'll give you more information about that next week. And it will be posted during the week with several days for you to respond. So, I know I've gotten at least one of the wellness portfolios, the part 1, so I'll be getting that feedback back. So remember that that's due at the end of the coming week. So take care and have a good week.